No. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen and show you guys my PowerPoint presentation that I've prepared. So full of love. Oh, damn, that's not good. So guys, the name of the seminar: Start Your Journey into Software Development. Let me just turn this off. Okay. So start your journey into software development. A lot of you guys may have joined this to find out how to start your journey into software development. A lot of you guys may be confused about what career path to take. A lot of you guys may be in IT and not know where to go. You don't have no guidance. You don't have no sort of person to ask. You don't have any idea of how to move forward, what happens after university, because I'll be honest with you, you don't get taught a lot about what happens after university. You don't get taught because the university has different departments and they're not exactly very much in tune with the students. So that's why I've come here today, to give you guys guidance, to give you guys to give you guys information as to how you can make the best decisions in terms of your career, and how you can make an informed decision. So at any point, if you guys are confused about something, please write it down. And then when we have a question answer session at the end, we will go through that. So first things first. Well, if my lecture slide decides to work. Okay, what is a software engineer? Now, we've heard this term so much in the market. Everybody is after the software engineers. Everybody wants them. Everybody wants to know who they are. Everybody wants to employ them. Everybody wants to give them the best benefits there are. But why? Why? So the definition that I came across was an individual who applies the principles of software engineering to design, develop, maintain, test, and evaluate computer software. Now, a question that I'm asked a lot is, what is the sort of capability needed to become a software engineer? What do you need to become a software engineer? So the answer to this question is simple. So you need to know at least how the design process works, how to develop code, which is obviously going to be your job as a software engineer. You need to be able to develop code, how to maintain code, how to test code, and how to evaluate it. So design to the point where obviously you're not going to be doing the UX designing. That's going to be someone else's job. But designing code, designing classes, designing is basically a way to show that, okay, I can get someone's words and turn it into something else. Maybe turn into a diagram, maybe turn into a class diagram, an activity diagram, to show how the code and software is going to work. It's just a mode of guidance. Like when you're building a house, you have a blueprint. When you're building software, you have your design. Then we move on to the development part, which is the most important part, which is going to be your job as a software engineer. So developing code, building products, building innovative products, changing the world, that sort of thing. Maintaining code, when you build something, you have to maintain it. They say that 60% of the cost of a software is the maintenance, and 40% of the cost of the software is the development. So when you build a software, you will have to maintain it. You will have to maintain it over time. You have to make sure it's good. But testing is a very big part of your software, big part of your job as a software engineer. So everything you do, you have to test it to make sure it works, to make sure it works properly with the software, and to make sure that it works properly to the point that you are not embarrassing yourself in front of your client. And obviously evaluating and then going around the circle again. So you evaluate, you develop, you test. You evaluate, you develop, you test. So this is the definition of the coveted word software engineer that we hear so much all the time. So next, but you guys have to remember, software engineer is a general broad term. A software engineer, because there's so many softwares out there now, and because there's so many softwares doing different things, like this is when I read this definition, I found it very weird, because I thought a software engineer is only supposed to develop, but now I find out they're supposed to maintain, test, and evaluate as well as know some sort of design. Now I'll move on to what I'm talking about. So the different types of software engineers, as you can see here, there are around 8 or 9. Now, the different types of software engineers is because the demand in the market has grown so huge that they are using programming languages to do everything. Now, programming language is literally a way to automate steps. For example, if I want to, I don't know, if I want to create a software that saves me time and I don't have to write things down, I don't have to write things down and keep record. You know, the old paper way. Software is completely paperless. Everything stays recorded. Everything stays there. You have dates and times of everything. So why would you not want to invest in something like that? At the end of the day, time is our biggest currency. More than money, more than anything else, time is our biggest currency. If we can save time, we will. So if we have to build software, spend money making a software to save us time, we will. So what is a front-end developer? A front-end developer is that individual that works on the front side of websites. So you have Netflix, you have Facebook. Facebook and Netflix have front-end developers that sort of look at the UI, find out what people like about the UI, find out people don't like about the UI, find out what's getting them better results, and they build. The programming languages you need for that is HTML, which HTML is very doubtful whether it's a programming language or not, to be honest, but I think it is. CSS, JavaScript, and React that's made by Facebook, and Angular that's made by Google. Right now, the biggest programming languages for front-end development on the scene are React and Angular because of the benefits they pose. The average salary for front-end developer through my source, obviously Glassdoor, which is a reputable source, is £56,125. So you'd be living pretty comfortably. Then we have a back-end developer. A back-end developer is somebody who develops the server side of the application. So the server side, what do I mean by that? The authentication, the working with the database, the security stuff. So the general metaphor, the general analogy used for front end and back end, the way they work together is basically front end is our customer. So we're in a restaurant, our front end is our customer. Our chef is our database. The waiters are the servers. The waiters are the back end. So the waiters talk to the chef and bring your food to you from the chef. They're the server. So the server, you'll have one server that is very, very strong, or you can have multiple servers depending on how many clients you have, and they'll be serving between the database and the front end. And that helps with optimization, that helps with speed, that helps with getting the job done quickly. That's why you have that. Then we have a DevOps developer. The backend developer earns around 66,000 a year, and these are all averaged through Glassdoor. So it can be higher, it can be lower, but this is normally a mid-range. A DevOps developer is a developer that joins the role of a software engineer with IT operations. What IT operations? For example, maintaining, testing, evaluating, stuff like that. They're IT operations. It joins the role of a software engineer with IT operations. And the average salary of that is 60K a year. And DevOps is literally something that started in the last 5 to 7 years, I think. And it's a new thing. So that is something that you can literally, it's fine if you're not clued up about that. Then you have a full stack developer. A full stack developer is somebody that works on the front end as well as the back end. And yeah, you guys are probably looking at the salary and thinking, why is it lower than a front end and back end developer? It's because, like they say, jack of all trades, master of none. So the front end developer is a master of front end development. There's an entire market for front end development. So that's why they'll be paid more. A backend developer is the master of backend development. A full stack developer knows both and is able to code in both, but is not a master at anything. That's the reason why obviously the salaries are a little lower. But a full stack developer needs to know more programming languages, but he just doesn't need to have as much in-depth knowledge of them as the front end or backend developer. Then we have a quality assurance engineer. Quality assurance is more like to ensure the quality of the code is good, the quality of everything is good. So it'll be testing out code, making sure it's okay, making sure you have less lines, making sure the code is the performance is better, the speed is better. What companies usually do is companies usually have one massive code base and they have multiple people doing multiple different things. So a front-end developer, a back-end developer, someone with DevOps, somebody that knows full stack, somebody that's good at quality assurance, because you can't expect a normal software engineer to do all these roles, because the amount of projects that you come by nowadays, the amount of depth they go into, and the amount of work that it takes to get them done. You can't expect one developer to do everything. So that's why companies now divide them into different parts. I mean, even as a front-end developer, you might have about 5, 6 front-end developers, 5 or 6 junior developers, 5 or 6 senior developers working on one piece of code, because that's how important it is to the company. Then you have a security engineer. Security engineer, the job of the security engineer is, for example, pen testing, to ensure that the security part of the software is going well. So, for example, let's say you might have security vulnerabilities, like, I don't know, let's say you might be vulnerable to, I don't know, DDoS attacks. I think that's what it's called. I'm not really into security that much. You might be vulnerable over other sort of attacks. You might be vulnerable over man in the middle. So to understand your vulnerabilities, that's why you have a security engineer, because the rest of these guys are not equipped for that. Quality is something else, security is something else. Then you have a data scientist. A data scientist, in my opinion, is the best person on the team, because what that data scientist does is he gets the data, he analyzes it, and then you are able to make decisions from that. They say to become successful, you follow data and results. So that's why data scientist, I think, is one of the most important parts of the team. Then at the end, we have mobile app developer. Sorry, I missed one thing out. The quality assurance engineer gets paid 40K, security engineer 48K, and data scientist 50K. Now we move on to mobile app developer, which is my favorite part, because mobile app development is changing every single day. Mobile app development, for Apple, you have Swift, and for Android, you have Java. They're the main programming languages for those two platforms. Then obviously you have React Native. React Native joins both into one code base. That's why React Native, as you can guess, it was built by Facebook. Facebook had this very good habit of basically taking over the market and doing the best, similar to what Apple does. But mobile app developer makes around 39,000. But mobile app developers are basically supposed to be all rounders as well like the rest. So let's move on now. That's the different types of software engineers. Anyone have any questions before we move on? Or would you like to write them down and ask me at the end?
I think we'll ask at the end.
Go on. That's fine, no problem. Okay, next we have, some statistics. The unemployment rate for software engineering is less than 5%. That was absolutely shocking for me when I was looking at it, because I thought, okay, it might be a bit high because some people think that they don't get jobs, but it's less than 5%. Less than 5%, what does that mean? In one area, I found 3.5%, another area I found 3.9%, another area I found 2.9%. What does this translate to? This means those of you who want to become software engineers are going through degrees or going through boot camps or learning online have a 95% chance or more than 95% chance of landing a job. Now, guys, what other career path are you going to get this much of a chance of? And then next we have around 87% of companies are experiencing a talent gap in the UK. Now, guys, these statistics are from a website called Thrive My Way, and they join all these statistics together from other websites. Then we have the last part, about 25% of software developers hold computer science degrees. Now, guys, let me ask you a question. Who's interviewing who? If the supply is that short and the demand is so much on your side, then who's interviewing who? Do you guys really think you guys are going to interviews and the other guy's thinking, oh no, let's just kick this guy out? No, they're thinking, I want to invest in this guy. I want the guy to give me one reason to accept him. So the tide's on your side, guys. Next, CVs. So a few points on how to improve your CVs. Apologize for the English there. But so the first thing you have to think about when it comes to your CV is the story it tells. So the story has to be coherent. If you're applying for a mid-level job or you're applying for a job where you have an extra bit of responsibility or the responsibility is good, you need to show that you've been trained somewhere in your CV. If you're applying for an entry-level job, you have to represent yourself as someone who is willing to be trained, is willing to go an extra mile, and has some sort of experience in an environment where you've been trained. Also, you are willing to train. For example, when I started off in a graduate position, but on my CV, I sort of was going around to different companies and asking them if I can build code for them, and I was doing it for free, and I had that on my CV, so that when I went to an interview, when I was asked about that, I was able to tell them that, yeah, I was doing work experience for free. That's what you have to do in the beginning. Point number 2, keep it relevant. So buzzwords, all sorts of, for example, if you're applying for a front-end developer role, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Angular, have all these on your CV. Go through small boot camps, go through small learning tutorials, and learn them. Point number 3, if the location is remote, so if the job is remote, there's no need to let them know where your location is and more. So I would like to invite Sanya Bashir, who is an ex-trainer at QA Consultancy, to continue this part for me.